Welcome, welcome, welcome to another exciting episode and edition of the EME Podcast Show. I am Charlie Mack, and this is my crew, the EME crew. Introduce yourself, my brother.
I'm Charles.
Caleb.
And Antoine Turtle Jones.
And we are EME, Empowering My Environment, LLC. We have some international guests. Yeah, y'all didn't think we could do that, did you? Yeah, EME do that sometimes. We blow y'all mind. So I would allow my guests to introduce themselves, starting with you, sir.
You mean coming from Missouri is international? Oh, no, okay.
The other side.
The other place you come from.
I'm Johan Mostert. I'm from originally from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Woo woo.
Way down south.
Way down.
Right.
Southsiders too.
Yeah,
Right.
we are. Yeah, we're from the south side of Little Rock. Yep. Who are you, young brother?
My name is Kambri Charles. I work with 100 Families, case
100
manager.
families.
That's me.
Right.
Hey, Kambri, nice to see you again.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, he been on the show a few times. One time.
Yep. Yeah, he been around. He actually is a EME member.
Right.
Actually,
Right.
he don't like to say it in public.
Right.
I don't know, you ashamed of us or something, brother?
Nah.
Good to see you again,
Good
Kambri.
to see you. Good to see you. Good to see us all.
And you do a good job.
A very good job with 100 Families.
Thank you.
And sir, who are you?
I'm Bill Hancock. I came up from Northeast Florida yesterday with an organization called Children's First Coalition.
Okay.
Originally from Delray Beach, about down south on the east coast of Florida. But I grew up in Atlanta, ATL.
ATL. Yeah, we know about ATL.
Yeah, I know you do.
They look out for us when we move down.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Move down.
Yeah.
You may have to accommodate him tomorrow because there's a storm coming into Florida and he can't go home. So.
Yeah, it may delay
You
my
might have
flight.
I might be stuck with us for a couple.
Yeah. You guys
It's a
have
good
to
place to
arrange.
be stuck.
Yeah, all right.
Hey,
Yeah, we got it.
These guys
If you
can
can
arrange
bring
some
those
housing.
enchiladas
Yeah, we can
again,
arrange
I'll
some.
hang out another whole day.
We can arrange
Shout out to
some.
them enchiladas. Rita, you did good.
So Bill, one of my questions is, you deal a lot with foster care.
Yes, that's right.
So how is that dealing with foster care, dealing with children who are in, like their household is not okay. So and a lot of those problems that we have noticed with foster care is psychological and emotional. So how do you deal with those on a daily, children and going through those problems on a daily basis?
Well, I would first say that foster care is not the best solution for children. It's unfortunately that we even have to have a foster care system. If we were in, I'd prefer a perfect world where children were always safe and they could grow up in a permanent family and their well-being was protected. But when that can't happen, then what we believe and want to see happen is that they are safe, loving, caring families who will open up their home and their hearts to welcome someone into their family just like it was their own child, but to do that knowing that there's a family that is suffering loss and going through really hard time. And the big question for us is how can we support that family, and not just that biological family, but the whole family system.
Right.
Because families are systems.
They are.
There's mom, dad, there's aunt and uncles, there's cousins, and those are the people that define us.
That's true.
And we want to make sure that while we're trying to keep a child safe and stable, that we remember that we all come from a family, and if we can help that family system heal, then we're doing the best work for a child.
I agree with that.
Get that child home as quick as possible.
That's one major question I want to ask because as of lately, it's been like, especially the past 10 years, like the safety of the children, they've been talking about trafficking. Children coming up missing from the system and stuff. What steps do y'all take to avoid that?
Well, one of the things we do is we surround every family who fosters with something we call a community of care, which is 5 to 6 adults who are part of that family that fosters part of their network, their social network. And that is such a great question, because for a child, the number one thing in foster care is safety. That's why we bring children to foster homes, because we don't believe they're safe. And so we want them to be safe. And if they go into a foster home and their safety's compromised, then that's like a secondary trauma for the child.
Right.
So what we've done is we recruit volunteers, and we train volunteers so that nobody fosters a child alone, but they have people around them, like you, that says, hey, if you're going to take in somebody else's child while they try to heal, then we're going to help you. And when you need us, we're there for you. And here's what we've learned. If the more eyes we have on our children who are looking out for them and protecting them, the safer they are.
Right.
How you keep children safe is you put safe people around them.
That's true.
And that's what we do. We recruit people that will commit to that family, commit to that child or children, and we all commit to trying to help that family system heal. Because that's the ultimate win, is to see a child reunified, see a family restored, and see a community heal.
Right.
It take a village.
It takes
It does.
It literally takes a. That's not just a saying. That's
No,
true.
no, it's right.
We say it this way, that some will foster, others will support those who foster, but everybody can and should do something to keep our children safe.
Right. Let me ask you, do those family have like a caseworker or something that
Yes,
they work closely with?
caseworkers, they have a case plan, they have a lot of people around them. But we identify someone we call a family advocate. That's somebody that's not in the system.
Yeah.
And they volunteer, so they're there because they want to be.
Right.
And they're willing to give their time to train, to learn how to to see threats that may put a child at risk, to support that family who's helping, also to help train and support the families that surround that child. So the advocate is constantly looking at how the family and the volunteer community around them is functioning. Because if maybe people make a commitment, sometimes they don't follow through. Well, that advocate can come over and say, hey, we're counting on you.
Right.
Sometimes all we just need is a reminder that we made a commitment and we need you to help. We need you to do your part.
So that would be our Kambri.
Yeah.
Kambri.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly right.
That's right. It's just exactly right. It's
exactly right.
the same role.
Right.
And the other thing is, the more people that know that child, whether they're in foster care or not, the more children that know, people that know that child, the safer the child is.
Right.
And someone that may want to use a child for their own gain, like trafficking. Hey, you got 5 or 6 people that know
Keeping
that
an
child,
eye on,
and they notice something's not right with that child, and the child feels comfortable, and they're trained, they know how to talk to a child so the child's comfortable because they know they're safe with those adults.
Right.
And they tell you that somebody's been asking me questions and asked me to do things I'm not comfortable with.
Right.
Well, guess what? 5 of us are going to have a call with that person.
Oh, okay.
And
Safety net.
Safety
It's a
net.
safety
Yeah,
Right.
it's a social safety net. Because we are common. We're gathered for a common good, and that is to make sure our children are safe, because they deserve to be able to grow up without being scared to go outside.
They do.
Can I add something to that?
Go ahead.
Bill is the originator of implementing that plan with us as an organization, and we work mainly through local churches and recruit volunteers and family advocates from the local church. We've been going here in Arkansas for about 5 or 6 years now with this wraparound, and we've gotten feedback from the Department of Child and Family Services here that the kids that have that kind of protective wraparound have double the level of stability and safety than kids that are just in the system without that wraparound. So we're really excited. My research heart, data-driven heart, really gets excited about that we can actually show empirically with research that it's better when the community and the church
Don't
gets
you
involved and wraps around the kids.
Don't you love how he says, data.
Yes, that's
I kind of was
That's
like, what
I just think it's so cool, you know.
Let me interpret.
I just hang around with him for years. I love it.
Oh, that's what you were saying. Data. I didn't know what he was saying.
Come on, bro.
I thought you were making up a word. I promise I did.
That's the South African accent.
Oh, come on.
That's why I just turned my head like, okay, I'm gonna catch it on the next round when they explain it to me. But yeah, I get it now.
You gotta tell me,
You know.
Johan, that's that lingo, man.
And when you're from Florida or ATL, you just say data.
Yeah, we data. Yeah.
Yeah, y'all sound like the country boys. Y'all
Yeah,
sound
we
like
just say
us.
data.
Right. Hey, Mr. Johan, our South African guest, man. Ooh, we up, man.
Yeah, we up there.
Hey, yeah, so y'all working with 100 families, Hope Ark, y'all rocking with us. What's going on?
Well, my task is what he was just explaining for our church, our national church in Springfield, Missouri. And my task is to sort of get churches to understand the importance of that and to recruit them to actually implement this plan. Bill and I wrote a manual for the churches, how many years ago?
Several.
Several years ago, and that's my task to get churches to understand their responsibility to be body of Christ, tangibly in the community. So it's going well. There's good response from states all over the country, but it's taking a while for churches to understand that. It's not just what happens inside the church building on a Sunday that's important.
Get out in the streets and do
Oh,
what you're
yes.
supposed to do.
That's
Right.
Boots on ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Boots on the ground.
Right.
And more faith-based organization involved, we don't need as much government assistance.
That's
if
right.
private citizens and faith-based organizations are involved.
Right.
Are you
Community
against
networks.
government? Did you vote today?
No,
I'm
but
kidding.
I'm not against government at all. But I think
Pulling your leg.
the people. I think if the people step up, we can do more work.
100%.
That's
Absolutely.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
With faith-based and private citizen businesses, those organizations with revenue that don't have to be capped. You know what I mean, or have it to be
Regulated.
Like business owners, churches. To me, they have more responsibility, and they should be held more accountable.
Yeah,
So I'm not saying
totally
to talk
agree.
down on them, but I'm
No.
just saying initiate and show, hey, this is what we need you to do. Like you just mentioned, it's not about being in the church all day because the work needs to be done outside in the streets.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
The people in the church are almost damn near saved. We need to save the streets
Yep.
and the people out there and the children out there. So that's what I mean when I mean faith-based.
Well,
and
absolutely.
business.
Absolutely. I
I'm not
totally agree
taking
with
away
you.
from the government.
No, what we're
No, we need 'em.
we're expecting government to do something that's supposed to be done in the community,
Exactly.
and we're sending the poor caseworkers that we're sending out to do this work in the community are very often young kids that just came out of college. I mean, many of them aren't even married yet. They don't know anything about kids, and we're sending them out into a field that is so difficult. They're burning out at a terrible rate. In your own Pulaski County here, what was a turnover of 110% of caseworkers? 110% in 1 year. Why? That's not. We're expecting the government to do things that the community should be doing.
Right.
I totally agree.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
I'm saying let's all step up as a group. Let's step up as a unit
Yeah.
because we have more resources as a unit. No matter your culture, your color, your position, your profession, just step up to the plate. Like love and forgiveness changes everything.
Everybody has something to offer. Everyone has a contribution to bank. I think that's one of the reasons why we need to depend on each other more instead of putting the government in a position to meet all of our needs. Instead of coming together and saying, we've all got some assets. Let's put them on the table.
It's all
And
I'm
let's figure out what we can do with what we have instead of looking at what we don't have and saying, we need this and we need that and wait for somebody to give that. Instead, we get around a table like this and we start at the most important place. And I've got 6 children and 6 grandkids. And I'll tell you, when I had my first child and became a dad, and my dad wasn't around my entire life. I didn't meet him until I was 21 years old. My mother was married 4 times before I was 11, and so I moved around a lot. By the time I was 14, I was pretty much had all the responsibilities of a grown adult at 14. How many 14-year-olds are ready for that?
Right.
You know, if I feel like I had any assets, you know, nobody told me. Oh, everybody was just trying to, you know, hustle me. And I wasn't smart enough. I'm 14 years old. What do you know when you're 14? So I believed everybody. And so if everybody said, hey, we're going to help you, next thing I know is, ooh, that ain't help.
Exploiting.
That ain't the kind of help I need. And I find myself in situations I did not know how to deal with. I didn't know how to, you know, got myself in deep. I didn't know how to get out. And, you know, I realized real quick if I was going to make it, I was going to have to hustle. And I was not going to have to depend on other people. All because every time I would depend on somebody else, I always felt in debt.
Right.
And that debt came due. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when that happened, that's when I said, you know, I got to figure something else out. And I was about 21 years old. By the time I was 14, by the time I was 21, I was just hustling, you know, working construction, hustling, doing whatever I could do to just get by. And then by the time I was 21, I'm like, this is life. This is all I got to look forward to. I don't know if I'm up for this for another 60 years.
Right.
And I watched, and I didn't even own a TV. I was watching TV at a friend's house, and I heard this evangelist preaching, and I never heard didn't grow up in church, never read a Bible. And I heard this guy say, you know, God loves you. Mm-hmm. He's got a plan for your life. He wants to help you. He doesn't want to hurt you. And you just give your life to him. I'm like, you know, I'd really like to think this is real.
Right.
Because if this is real, I'm in. Mm-hmm. And if it's not, I'm in. No, I'm still in. Because I kind of like the value proposition. You know, here's a deal. You don't have to do anything. I just love you. Mm-hmm. And you said that when you started out. I asked you, we were eating before we started talking and started the podcast, you know, what was foundation of peacemaking? And you said it. You said love.
Yes.
And, you know, when I became a believer in Christ, and, you know, the whole thing that stuck with me is, you know, a father I never had. Mm-hmm. Was like, okay, yep. That's one, check. Heavenly Father. 2, I don't have anything to lose and everything to gain in this deal.
You do.
And that's the first time I've been offered one like that. So I'm taking it. And next thing is I never really had a family, and the local church became my family. So I had God as my father, local church congregation became my family. Next thing I know, a kid who dropped out of high school at 14 because he had to work instead of go to school, ends up getting a GED, going to college, and ended up working to help kids like me for the rest of my life.
That's what's up.
That's it, man. And I just keep, you know, 100% of success is just showing up every day and doing what you think is right.
Another question for all three of y'all. I know a lot of these kids probably come up out of these situations with like post-traumatic stress, trauma, ADHD, stuff like. A question for all three of y'all. Answer. How do y'all like help these children with those?
Let me answer first, because you all probably have a more time-lengthy speech to answer this question. But me myself, I try to get them into some counseling because I think professional people need to talk to these individuals to deal with their problems. Because I would never approach it. It's like I can handle that because I don't know what type of emotional stress they've been going through. So I always go through a counseling organization for children and families. So that's what I do as a case manager.
So our 100 families, we allow the children to have counseling and things like that.
Yes.
When I came to America, I came to the university to train counselors. That was my task, master's level LPCs, licensed professional counselors. So I understand the importance that he's mentioning here, that children need professional therapeutic inputs. As I said, I both married a counselor and I taught counselors, so I'm very positive about the role of counseling. However, like your question about government, I want to say, just like government can't solve all your problems, 1 hour per week in counseling, it's not going to solve all the problems that these kids, the hurt. So all of their trauma, all their PTSD, all their post-traumatic disorders were the result of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that you get it right is through relationships.
Right.
So we're back to where Bill was just talking earlier, that you need, those kids need adult relationships. That's the healing part.
Right.
They need to know adults that they can trust, that they're safe over a long period of time. So there's no magic, woof, now suddenly they're healed. I thank God for the help that the counselors do. Very often medications are helpful, absolutely. But to think that that's going to cure them, it's not going to happen. What they really need is relationship.
And long-term process.
Long-term.
Yeah.
I had I experienced that too. About my son went through DHS custody. Then they took him from the mom. Then the next step was the grandma go to the dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I ended up with my son because that's what I'm the daddy. You know what I'm saying? So the counseling part of it. When I did counseling with my child to build a relationship and just having them, because I was a man, I wasn't never used to that kind of responsibility, because over here where I'm from, the child used to go to the mama and the grandma. The daddy never had that type of parent responsibility. So counseling kind of made it good for me. You know what I'm saying?
Helped.
Just to talk and just to understand and just to have my child on the side of me.
Yeah.
And to build that relationship,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. That's what helped me get through this, and that's what made our bond real stronger and everything. So, counseling is a good thing for the children and the adults. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When it comes to
Yeah.
DHS and it comes to foster care and things.
And you're an excellent father too, brother. Real spirit.
Yeah, I try to be.
I see you. I watch you. I see
It's
you.
hard.
That's awesome. Being a dad is tough. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's probably the most fulfilling.
I wanted to comment on that too, because I experienced at 14 years I was taken from my mom and placed into foster care, but thank God that I had a faith-going foster mother.
Wow.
And she loved me. All the hell I caused her, she still loved me. But at that time, I noticed I was going through a lot, but they never, back then I'm 34 now, and that was back when I was 14, but I never went through counseling. I was going through a lot, and I wish, that was something they would have offered, because it would have helped a lot. So I thankful that they got that, because they didn't. That's something they never offered. It's just when I was bad, I go to jail. Go to jail, but nobody never set me down like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Right.
What's really wrong with
Right.
you? So that's a good thing to have counseling. Now, I'm taking counseling, and I thank God, because it's helping a lot. So that's
Wow.
what counselors do. It do help, but you have to do the self-work, too, to try to, get as an adult. Right.
Caleb came out all right. Yeah, all right.
Now, all these brothers on EME are excellent fathers. They are excellent.
Right.
They stand up fathers. They're around their children. They do the school work with them. They make sure that they make sure that their children are on the up and up. Not the way we came up. They're making sure that they're better than what we came up, what we went through. These fathers up here are amazing.
Wow.
I gotta give my crew their props, because I watch them, and that's what I do. I watch people, I research, and I look, and I notice it every day, and I watch their children, and their children show it that they're happy with their fathers.
Excellent.
That's
Still
awesome.
learning.
I'm learning too,
I'm still
but
learning
what
too.
I see from y'all is growth
And
great parenting.
And
I'm
what
a
make me-
military dad.
Right, and what make me like that is, like I said, I didn't have a father growing up, so
Yeah.
Me
having
neither.
a son now, I try to be the best. That's all I think about.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have it, and I know a lot of stuff I went through, so I try to, be there for him as much as I can.
That's a
I
real
know
man
how
right
that
there.
feels. to not
Yeah.
have your daddy there. That make a difference.
You too, Turtle.
Yeah, this my brother.
Is that right?
Same
We
day.
got the same dad.
We went
Wow.
the same thing.
Look,
Oh my.
look at you now, both of you, man.
Right.
Yeah, but one thing about my dad too, I could say today.
Yeah, he's a
You
good
wouldn't
dad.
even believe.
Yeah, his same man.
How we
Yeah,
went through.
I turn around.
Is that right?
With a kid, man, he did a 360. He loves us to death. Ain't nothing we can't
Yes.
ask him for now. We need a place to stay, feed, everything. He a complete
Yeah,
parent
different guy
to
now.
us now. Like when I was young, I didn't.
But he was young,
understand,
you know.
You know.
People learn. Like
Yeah.
somebody once
Yes.
told me, it's not a perfect parent book to teach you. So you know, when you young and you having kids and you ain't and you going through stuff, and when you get older, you talk about it. You see, it's not what you thought it was. Like, but you know, people learn. They learning too. Parents
Yeah.
learning too. They make mistakes too.
Wow.
So I can't hold a grudge because he's a
Right.
good dad now. If I go ask him for some money, he gonna give it to me. I'm gonna cut that yard. He gonna look out.
That's awesome.
And coming from our community, because we all from the South. We from the South End. Man, we probably had, what, 2, 3, 4 homeboys that had daddies? If that much. All the rest of us, none of us had daddies.
Yeah.
So we was our own, we was our crew, we was our daddies, we was our big brothers, which was crazy, because it was the blind leading the black. We all went to the It didn't go, it's in the
That's-
ground,
that's
rest in
common
peace.
in our
Right, it was very common. So we had to break that stigma, and we had
Sure.
to step up as fathers.
Yeah.
And majority of our homeboys now, they got kids. All our kids playing the part together. They know each other. So
But now what you guys are doing now
Yeah.
is where, I mean, you're turning it around.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And not only have you come out of that, you've learned, and you're excellent examples. He keeps
Right.
bragging on you guys.
Right.
You're excellent examples for
Yeah.
your community.
Yeah.
And that's what, back to relationships. It's that kind of interaction with the kids in the community. And as your kids watch one another,
Right.
all kinds of role models here.
Right.
That's the healing part.
Like back in the days, you know, like your neighbor was your mama. Your
Yep.
your
Yep.
across the street was your
Yeah.
mama.
Yep.
Now it's kind of not
Yeah.
like that, because I live in some apartments now, and you know, just the other day, me and Meg was sitting out there, and I was just looking, trying to see how many people got complete households in these apartments. It's what 200-300 people stay out there, and I don't see a daddy and a mama. It's straight just mamas in these houses with the kids. They don't have no type of you know. It's not complete.
Wow.
You know, broken homes
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah.
It's real in our community where
Yes.
we're from. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of it's really it ain't normal when you see somebody in our neighborhood with two parents. We kind of be jealous of them. We even pick with, well, you got mom and dad, how you out here on these streets? You like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's
But
how bad it is.
You're changing that, though.
Out here.
You're
But
changing it
right.
by the choices you're making.
Right.
To hear the way you guys talk about each other.
Yes.
And you elevate each other.
Yes.
That's powerful. That's emboldening. That if people not only see it, but they hear you talking to each other like that. That's how you transform. Start with a small group, 4 brothers.
Right.
5. It comes 8. It's 10. Next thing you know, it's a corner. It's a block.
Right.
And it's all of a sudden now it's a movement in your neighborhood, and that's this question about therapy, clinical intervention, and relationships and supportive community. I needed both. And unfortunately, I didn't get good clinical intervention until later in my life. I started out with a good, caring community of people that took me in, took care of me. But I was angry. I was angry, and I was fearful. I was driven by those powerful emotions, fear and anger. And
Recipe for
eventually I
disaster.
got married, and it was starting to affect everything. And next thing I know, I'm like, I gotta get a handle on this. And that's when I finally
Got the
friends
counseling. Yeah.
got me the help I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize all the things I experienced.
Right.
I had trauma, and I had no idea. And all of a sudden, they helped me start realizing, wait a minute, I can own this. I can feel it in my body. I can sense it in my mind. I can feel it in my nerves.
And it's so interesting you're talking about this because it's coming from, a Caucasian guy happens in y'all home as well as our home, trauma. Like some people just think like the black.
It's got nothing to do. Nothing to do.
Everybody
with
can
that.
go through something, and man, and it it has a big effect of how they life.
Yeah.
If you never get it fixed, like it'll affect your whole life. You never get therapy. I help with it through people, right? So
We all
glad we
experience
talking
the
about-
same pains,
right.
and we all
No matter
need the
what's up.
same kind
Right.
of help.
Yeah, because
That's
I
what
can tell
people
you,
gotta know.
therapy,
Yeah.
therapy is very needed in the community.
Oh yeah.
Right.
If that was at our Boys and Girls Club, we probably would have been a little bit better, you know?
Right,
Just a
right.
tad bit better.
Had somebody in there
Therapy.
like that.
Yep.
Because a lot of people in our neighborhood don't know that what's going on is that's not real. Like we grow. It's so numb to us.
Right,
Like,
make
not
it
having
regular.
a dad. Not,
Right.
Yeah. You adapt.
You know.
Yeah.
You kind of be like, this what go on.
That's
You
just the
know
way
what
it
I'm
is.
saying?
Yeah.
Right now we at the beginning stage. We
Right.
right now trying to teach our kids to pull their pants up.
Right.
So we dressing them right now. So that's how bad down.
Talking
we is
crazy
with this. You
too.
feel what I'm
I
saying?
think that's
So-
normal. Getting talked crazy too, like
You know
that.
what I
Like that's
mean?
normal. Your mom don't talk to you like that.
So that's Ear Man podcast. That's what we. That's kind of like our mission. You know what I'm saying? We
That's
push.
powerful.
We
That is
push.
that's
That
powerful.
is so powerful.
We push for people to, in our situations to go talk to somebody, go get help.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you really can change your situation if you stay prayed up. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being fearful and all this with the streets in the community,
Yeah.
you got to do it with God first.
God got him. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then He's gonna give you that script, and He's gonna give you that power and that wisdom, so you can understand what the situation is that you're going through. So,
When my father, because I had my father around till I was almost like 9 or 10, and when he left, it was like a piece of my heart was snatched.
Oh, end of the world.
And I was so angry. I was angry at the world.
Yep.
I was angry in my household. I was just angry for no reason constantly.
Yep.
And my brother, I have a brother, my brother Michael, he stepped up. He's 5 years older than me, and he became my father.
Wow.
And he taught me everything I needed to be a young man and to be a teenager, and he taught me everything. Then he went to jail.
Oh.
And I was angry again.
'Cause you lost
Because
me.
I felt like every time a male was around that I loved, they were taken from me.
I know.
So it caused me to gravitate to the gangs in the streets.
Yeah.
And then when I got to the gangs in the streets, they showed love. So I felt loyalty. Whatever they needed me to do, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
No question asked.
Yeah.
I don't care what it was.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what was asked. I was going to do it because this is my family.
Yeah.
This who loves me. So I'm going to show my family that I love them back by putting in how much work it took, whatever it took. That's what I'm going to do. And that was my mentality.
Yeah.
It was an angry, abandoned boy.
Yeah.
And,
That's right.
And it caused me to act that
And
way.
you kept getting bigger, but you just stayed
But I
a little
still had that
boy,
boy
still
mentality. I
angry,
still had that anger
and mad at the
built up.
world.
And as I got older,
Oh, I know.
Right.
That angry little boy still.
You think it's
Yeah,
regular?
yeah. I was I'm approaching my 30s before, and I was going to church. I was,
Still.
and I was still angry. I mean, you cut me off in traffic. I mean, I'm ready to
Look out.
I'm ready to go at it.
Bill, I can't even
and I'm
talk
like,
about
this
some
is
of the things I've
insane.
done.
Why am I feeling so strong over something so stupid?
Right.
And then when I finally learned about trauma, and I learned about how it affects triggers and how
Right.
things that are just really aren't that important can set us off, and I started learning about triggers and
Right.
and starting to feel the difference between being relaxed and at peace and then being angry and raging, and that I could go that fast. Whoa.
And you learned all that out through with the stuff that you're talking about, the triggers. You learned all that through therapy, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. See, that's interesting. Something we're talking about too, because I'm a minister. And, I got in ministry very young at 19, but I had all these problems that I never got fixed. And I went to church and I was doing everything, preaching and doing all this, but yet I'm still some stuff to say that the church couldn't help me with.
Yeah.
Like stuff that I needed therapy is needed, and they used to not, they mixed the two because Jesus will get it. Jesus get it.
It's like
There's
a
some
preacher
things you
with road rage.
Yeah, you still have to get that type of help. That type of help is needed. Sometimes just sitting in church, Sunday and can't help you. You got to go get some help outside of it.
We got to heal
yes.
inside out.
Right,
We got
inside
to deal
out.
with the heart
Right.
and soul. We can hear and we can try to manage for a while, but man,
When you've been through some things.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody ain't got to do that, but some people, yeah.
Yeah.
You really been through some things, some real trauma. You need your therapy is good, and I can remember, like I say, we always taught, don't tell people your business. Don't tell people stick with that mentality. Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
get healed, to get help.
We need a little extra help.
It's okay to talk about
Right.
it.
What
you know?
100 Families is
I
doing.
learned that with Mr. Powell, because Mr. Paul Chapman, he took me on my first speaking engagement. And at that time, when he took me on to go speak, I ain't never talked to nothing. I ain't talked to my therapist. I ain't talked to my mama. I ain't talked to my homeboys, the gang, or nothing. So everything I had was balled up. And when they put me up there and made me talk about what I was going through, I felt better. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and as I felt better,
Yeah.
and as I started speaking out and started actually telling people what was wrong with me and actually getting to the core of it, I started living a little better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you start seeing your blessings. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You start seeing yourself grow, and you start maturing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Maturing. That's,
Maturing.
yeah.
Maturity play
Yeah.
a big part in a man too, because
Yeah.
we stay. A woman kind of to be mature faster than the man, because the man still be kind of, you know what I'm saying? But we just gotta keep the fathers alive. I preach a lot about the fathers, cause man, the man not in the household over here. You know what I'm saying? And it's a very important piece that's missing in our community. So that's why this kind of based
Been
on
missing
four
in our
man.
And I see it
things
being
like
me and my son's mother being separated and living in two different homes. Like when my son is with his mom, he act up. When he with me, he's perfect. He don't give me none of them problems because I'm that masculine energy.
Yep.
I used to owe another person,
That's
but
it.
when she can call me and show me on FaceTime, he get right. But with her, he with them girls and stuff, he gonna act up.
Yeah.
That's a whole different. And that's what's happening with men. And then when they just leave them with the women, then they grow and it's no structure there.
Yeah.
So they just running over them all.
Now,
I
but
like that phrase.
Yeah.
Spend time.
Quality time.
As a man, he
Relationship.
He go get, the relationship.
Relationship.
He go get his son.
Yep.
He feed his son.
Yep.
His son spend nights. A lot of men, like when Charlie Mack dad left him, it was a difference. He left and was completely gone.
Right.
My daddy left him.
Right.
Completely
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Now we trying to.
Yeah, the relationship. Yeah, it's
We
about the relationship.
built this podcast. We constantly tell the man, look, go get your children, because I didn't know that at first, man. I thought it was, I paid child support, and that's all I did. I paid child support. I bought clothes for school. I bought the birthdays. I did the Christmases. I did but I never went and got them. I never went and picked my son up and just, let's go ride to the park. Let's go out to eat. Let's go do nothing. I just thought, I give him money, he all right. No. You could take all that money away. That time that you spend with him is worth more than anything.
And
It's worth more than anything.
Something
That's
to piggyback
powerful.
off what you said, Caleb. It's not just the boys; it's girls too.
Yeah, boys and girls.
Let
Yeah,
me tell
of
you a
course,
story
sure.
about my little girl.
Right.
My little girl lives in a whole other country.
Right.
And I only talk to her a lot, most of the time, on the phone, on WhatsApp. But I learned something with my wife, talking to my daughter on the phone and my son on the phone. They give her the worst time over there. But you know what she threatened them? I'm gonna call your daddy. And you know what? As soon as I get on the phone with that little girl and get to talking to her, okay, Papa. She was just screaming, yelling at my wife, pushing my wife. And as soon as I get on the phone and say, don't do that. And I'm not yelling or nothing. I'm just calm like, baby, don't do that. You know that's not right. Okay, Papa.
Yeah.
Right.
Give
that's
me a kiss,
Yeah.
daddy.
Make
And
a difference.
everything is okay. But it's that masculine energy,
right.
man.
Yeah, right.
It demands respect.
Right.
It demands love. It demands it. As long as you're there, you don't have to be rich. As long as you just do your best, your children feel it. They feel the energy. Man, I'm on a whole nother country
energy.
from my children,
Right, the energy.
and they still feel that masculine energy.
Because they are our children.
Exactly.
They
Because
ours
that's what
too.
and what, like you said, Turtle, it's about the masculine energy in the home and in the community.
Makes all the difference.
That's what's lacking. That's why the gangs are so prevalent. That's why the drugs and the shootings are so much there, because there's no foundation of masculine energy. And that's what EME is building. That's what EME has built. And we're just gonna keep pushing it. We're gonna keep pushing the envelope. We're gonna make it stronger. And it's gonna work.
Well done.